I'm a lover of nature, lover of the earth, and in general, I just try to be nice to people.
I've known Reed a long time, and just an absolute great person. He is very strategic in his thought process. I consider him big picture.
His leadership style is really obvious. He's looking for ways to let all of his really talented, experienced crewmates own parts of the mission.
Over his career, Wiseman has spent over 165 days in space. In the office, he was the chief astronaut, which is a very tough job. More on the personal side, Reed's just a great guy.
I grew up in a small town north of Baltimore, Maryland, known as Cockeysville or Hunt Valley. The first time I remember being interested in space, I was in elementary school. I was always into cars and trains and planes, and I distinctly remember before the first space shuttle flight, I think I was 5 years old, the 747 flew over with a shuttle on the back. I distinctly remember being on a hill near a mall with my mom and dad watching that thing fly over in awe. I was a tiny kid. I graduated high school pretty young, and so I was small. I tried all the standard little kid sports. I tried soccer, I tried baseball. Those just did not fit with me. While I was at school, I decided that I wanted to be a Navy pilot. I joined the Navy in college through this thing called ROTC, and then when I graduated from college, that was my road into the Navy. Once I had that test pilot school block met, I knew that I had all the pieces to be an astronaut. I applied once, I got my rejection letter. It's still hanging up at home. I looked at it last night. I thought it was hand-signed. It wasn't hand-signed. And then in 2009, I applied again for my second time, and luckily snuck into an interview round, and then I knew it was all up to me, and the dream was going to be set by me right there.
So are you enjoying your training?
Oh, it's awesome so far. Absolutely fantastic. Way better than I had imagined. Getting to accomplish a dream, getting to go out and seize that, you have to sometimes look back and just congratulate yourself. Just take a minute and say, man, you did the thing that you set out to do. What would I tell 8 or 9-year-old Reed? Hey, stay the course. You're doing great. Have some confidence, because I definitely didn't have a lot of confidence as a kid. So go out and have fun and try to do good every day.
While we're looking at everybody, if you'll find the lens, just go and look at the lens, everybody.
I want to thank God for this amazing opportunity, because Artemis 2 is more than a mission to the moon and back. It is the next step on the journey that gets humanity to Mars.
Victor Glover, he's a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy. He has more than 2,000 hours of flight time. He has his bachelor's degree in engineering, his master's in flight test engineering. He was a United States test pilot where he flew F-18s. He came to us from Washington, D.C., where he was serving as United States Navy Legislative Fellow in the United States Senate.
My name is Victor Glover. I'm a NASA astronaut, naval aviator, and a former test pilot. The back of my baseball card, the most important things would be right at the top. It'd be a husband and father to 4 beautiful daughters. And then, being able to dabble in the aerospace industry, fly jets off of a carrier, and help design and to operate spacecraft. Those would be down there in the small print somewhere.
Victor, he is the philosopher, I would say. He's the one that I've had the most conversations about what makes effective training.
When I think of Victor, I think of a supercomputer. And I mean that very sincerely. He is so intelligent, and he is thinking about the mission. He's thinking about solutions, and in working with the teams, it's just fun to watch.
Victor Glover, he is my classmate. We were both chosen in 2013 to become astronauts. He is my astro brother. He is incredibly talented, and I am basically in awe of him at all times.
Victor Glover, he has become a mentor of mine. I love working with him. It is not a relationship that peaks and then drops off. This relationship is always increasing. I'm learning more about him every single day, and we're working better together every single day.
I grew up in Southern California. Being from a socio-economically disadvantaged background, not having a lot of money, It definitely created a challenge, but in all of that, my support and love from my mother and my father was always clear. That always shone through. I played outside. You know, I would come home with rocks and wood chips, but also like bugs in my pocket. Just this idea to kind of go beyond and know what's next and see what's beyond it's just kind of always been there. Sometimes it wound up with me getting bumps and bruises, you know. I took the rain fly off my tent, tied it to my belt loops, and jumped off my grandparents' roof to see if I could make a parachute, you know? As a child, seeing a shuttle launch on television, really, it captivated me. There are points through my childhood and young adulthood that feeling was always there. When I was in college, I was 20 years old. I decided I wanted to join the Navy. And when I told my dad I wanted to join the Navy, I told him I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. And he said, okay, you might enjoy that. But with an engineering degree from Cal Poly and being a pilot, you might be able to go on and become an astronaut. My dad made a suggestion that changed the arc of my life. Literally changed the trajectory of my life.
When NASA announced the astronaut piloting its Artemis II mission, Victor Glover Sr. was watching.
Obviously, I had tears in my eyes. I was wiping the tears away. Deep down inside, you knew, he's going to be a part of something special.
Being able to go to space is just, I think, a sign of the willingness, the work ethic, and the adventure, and the opportunity, the timing coming together. So many people have poured into my life that, if anything, I'm actually reflecting from so many sources. And again, I am blessed. I've been blessed.
Look at this picture. Oh, yes. You were in space camp.
I was.
Yeah. How old were you? Do you remember?
Probably middle school.
And look at you now.
She has a Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical Engineering from North Carolina State University, a Bachelor's in Physics, and a Master's in Electrical Engineering. She's also done some interesting expeditionary work, so please welcome Christina.
Christina Cook, one of our mission specialists, great person, just a great personality, easygoing, very detailed, and task-oriented.
She is the person that makes sure that everyone walks away from some training with the right understanding. She speaks up and asks the question, and then usually the whole room is like, yeah, I had that question too.
Christina, she brings a science mind to these activities. I'm so excited that she has the chance to go to the moon and help lead the science as a whole.
First, she's just a great person. And then second, she is really outgoing, outdoorsy human being. So she is always off doing something that I wish I was off doing.
Her background as an explorer and someone that just, lives to explore and loves life and adventure, space, she's a natural.
Well, I was born in Michigan, family of farmers, and I ended up growing up in North Carolina. My particular family moved there, and both places were just incredibly important in terms of forming my values and who I am. I would describe that little girl as someone that loved to be a part of everything. My dad and I were always working in the shed. We called it shed heaven. He was always teaching me how to fix things, how to make things. For me, the moments of exploration as a child were ubiquitous. I was always exploring, whether it was on the farm, going around on the trails, under the trees, climbing the trees, or in my own backyard. The idea of celestial bodies, the moon, the stars, what all that meant, seeing the Milky Way. These were things that really drew me in. I myself was inspired by the Earthrise photo taken on Apollo 8. I had it on my bedroom wall as a kid. And the idea that we can take a picture of all of humanity at once, that will be a big moment.
Christina Cook, your record holder. She is out, thumbs up, and a huge smile.
She returns to Earth as a record holder, the single longest stay in space by a woman.
What advice would you give to a girl my age who wanted to become an astronaut when they grow up?
I did have those conversations where small kids were surprised that I was an astronaut because, quote, I wasn't a guy, I wasn't a man. And for me, that sort of set the bit that it was important to demonstrate by representation that anything is possible for anyone who has a passion and who's willing to work hard to achieve that dream. To see that tide changing and to recognize that we can affect that change by the decisions we make to go by all and for all is really inspiring for me.
A Canadian is going to the moon. That makes me smile when I say that.
I know Canadians could not be more proud. Proud to have for the first time a Canadian astronaut who will travel to deep space as part of the ARTEMIS11 mission.
I'm Colonel Jeremy Hansen, an astronaut with the Canadian Space Agency.
Jeremy Hansen, a Canadian F-18 pilot. He hasn't had an opportunity to fly in space yet. I really look forward to him being able to see his home planet from space for the first time after his 15 years of training.
It's interesting because when I think of Jeremy, while he's a rookie, I don't think of him as a rookie. And that says a lot about Jeremy. He's very prepared. He's a quiet, confident leader.
He is maybe the thinker or the observer of the crew, thinking about the technical aspects of whatever we're learning. So he'll have some really insightful comment or just some really great piece of humor to add at the end.
He's one of the funniest human beings that you will ever met. He is dry humor, and his timing is absolutely impeccable.
You know how many times I show up to an interview and then I watch them make the tripod taller? Just about everyone.
But the other neat thing about Jeremy that a lot of people don't get to see is he is incredibly creative.
His creativity in making this spaceship like a playground and actually knowing it for its fundamental capabilities could potentially save our lives on this mission.
I've definitely spent some time contemplating my first launch to space, and the first thing that comes to mind for me is what I'm going to feel like the day before. I imagine I'm going to be very pensive the day before. I'll be leaving the planet. I'll be leaving my wife and 3 children behind on the planet. I know what's going to happen the next day is risky, but I also know from my operational experiences and flying and challenges I've faced that when the day comes and it's go time, I'll be fired up and I'll be just firing on all cylinders, riding that rocket to space.
I grew up on a farm outside of London, Ontario, and just had a great childhood. I really credit my experiences on the farm with giving me some of the tools I needed to succeed in life. I went on to join the Royal Canadian Air Force. I had this passion for wanting to fly fighter jets, and ultimately that prepared me to join the Canadian Space Agency and take on this challenge of being an astronaut. It is kind of full circle for me flying out to the moon on this mission, because when I was a young Canadian, I did see an image in Encyclopedia A under Neil Armstrong of humans standing on the moon. I looked at that image so many times through my childhood. It was on the bookshelf at home, and I started just thinking about being a space explorer. I turned my treehouse into a spaceship. I created all these intricate dials made out of cardboard and popsicle sticks. I found some switches, circuit breakers in the barn that I mounted to have switches in my spacecraft. I had a control column I made out of wood and a hinge, and I was exploring space in my imagination.
As a child growing up, I watched Marc Garneau fly in space, a first Canadian in space, and seeing that's what made me understand that it was possible for me to actually achieve that dream. I'm driven by the spirit of exploration. I don't even know that I can tell you why, but there's just something about that going to a new place and pushing the limits that really captures my passion. Super proud that Canada is joining the US-led mission back to the moon, the Artemis mission. Just gratitude for what they brought to the challenge.
The moon is like a Rosetta Stone for understanding the entire solar system and where we came from as a result.
I used to stare up at the moon. I was just fascinated by that image, that consistent image, and try to imagine what it might be like up there. Just thinking kind of on a mental journey, like I'm just taking this spiritual flight through the cosmos. but there was just this interesting and significant connection with the moon.
Everybody around the world has looked up at that exact same moon. The same side of the moon is always facing Earth, and we are always looking at that same picture. Some people are dreaming of it. For some it's a religious symbol, a spiritual symbol. For some it's a calendar, but we are always all looking at that same moon. It's one thing that every human has in common.
That thing that looks so far away is going to be right up close for us.
There's this human aspect of flying out and seeing the moon up close. That's going to be truly extraordinary. But then think about seeing the Earth from the perspective of the moon. You know, to have the moon in the foreground and the Earth rising around the side of the moon is just an extraordinary thing to imagine.
This is the stuff we dreamed of when we were kids, and now it's becoming reality. It's not becoming reality, it is reality.
My name is Lakeisha Hawkins. I currently serve as Acting Deputy Associate Administrator here at NASA. We lead the agency's efforts for human exploration to the moon and to destinations further beyond the moon. I'm one of those kids who went to elementary school and